Hey, what's up, everybody? BDL 44 coming at you with another video. All right, so Trae Young just got ejected from the game he's in for tossing the ball, no, passing, chest passing the ball to official Scott Wall. Now, I don't know of Scott Wall at all, so I'm not going to sit here and bash him in any way, but I just don't think what I saw should have gotten Trae ejected. Now, if he refused to pass the ball to the official in a situation like that, of course, yeah, that's a problem. You need to be giving the ball to the official, keep the game in play. Even in a timeout, there's certain decorum that you're supposed to follow. And if he would have taken the ball with one hand and cocked it back and launched it at the ref, that would be a big problem for me. But he gave him a chest pass, man. And he wasn't like he was chest passing him to his nose from as close as I am to the camera. He was a good 7 to 8 feet away from the man. Like, the chest pass to him. Now, I didn't see the pass itself and how it landed, but from what I was told in the clip that I saw, he caught it. So I don't know. Maybe that was his second technical, and that might have gotten him ejected. If that's how that went. I didn't see the game. I just saw the little clip. So maybe they wanted to give him a single technical for that pass, which even to me still seems strange. But to get him ejected for that is absolutely asinine. The officials, I don't know how to perceive the officials' job. I don't know how to perceive it, because what I really think is that there's a lot of room to be concerned about how games are officiated, but I don't think it's necessarily because the officials are doing something that they're not supposed to be doing. I think that the game is officiated a certain way, and I think because of it, we're seeing what we see. Now, maybe there are some inconsistencies. Maybe you have a situation where some refs, in the presence of all of these changes in the officiating, have made some mistakes and have gotten it wrong. You know what I mean? In the presence of things being just so different and kind of somewhat awry to what we're used to. But I don't know that that's common as it pertains to them making mistakes versus the rule itself and what it is they're being asked to do as it pertains to how they handle these games, if they're not doing exactly what it is they're supposed to be doing. So that's where my head goes when I watch the officials. Yeah, that's what happens. It's like, I don't know if I'm looking at some guys who are trying to forcefully lose us the game, or if by way of what it is that they've been told, this is why we're losing. They're sending their team to the line versus your team never going to the line, that kind of thing. So it's hard to tell. That's generally the problem. It's just foul calls a lot of times and things like that. Fans have a problem with some of the stoppage in play and how long it takes for them to replay certain things. And I don't know. I don't really know how to perceive whether or not they're doing a good job, but I do know that I don't necessarily love how the rules are interpreted. And I also don't necessarily like the environment for how players and referees are handled as it pertains to when mistakes are made versus when players have something to say about those mistakes. I think players should be given some understanding. It should be allowed for some type of leeway to express themselves from frustration. I think a lot of referees do allow for that. Some more than others. Some will allow certain guys more. Some won't be allowed from, that kind of thing. But I think all in all, what I want to see is just the NBA to allow for a better reading of energy. If a guy's upset at himself, or if he's upset at his own teammate, maybe not call certain technicals, get guys, kicked out of games, particularly good and important games, that kind of thing. We don't want a technical to eject the main attraction player on the floor just because a referee had a tough night, that kind of thing, rather than him actually doing anything that would normally get him, ejected. And so this is one of those situations where I'm just wondering if that's the case. I don't think this is a game that Trae Young gets ejected from very often if he does this very same thing. So that's my thing. I just want consistency there. And also for the allowing of players to say what they have to say without having to be facing reprimands for doing so. Sometimes games are so blatantly frustrating for players to endure when certain things don't go their way, when certain mistakes are made by the officials. It really has ramifications on winning. And guys, are passionate about what they do. Fans demand that teams have passionate players on it. We want our players to care. And so when they do, and it looks like this, should we not just learn how to live with it, as opposed to shunning those guys and telling everybody that they're the worst guys in the world or what have you for coming down on the officials? Now, at the same time, I know the officials don't have a voice. So maybe they can go on Twitter and kind of respond a little bit, is from what I understand. But other than that, they don't really have a voice to retort when people come down on them and they really didn't make mistakes. It's a thankless job that's not very easy. They have to look at a lot of things at once, and sometimes they may miss something even though they have 3 guys down there. So I don't doubt that that job is difficult and that they do a damn good job as a whole. And if they were asked to officiate the game the way I wanted to officiate it, we would be saying how great and stellar they are. You know what I mean? As it pertains to whatever your desire would be. Mine would be seeing a little more physicality and consistency, whatever you think it is. It would still stand, because that's what it comes down to. We all want the officials to officiate these games the way we want them to officiate, most importantly, in a way that provides our team an opportunity to win, and so on and so forth. So that's really what it comes down to. I don't think that the officials are in a position to where we should be able to attack them or nothing like that. That's not fair. But if somebody says, yo, I didn't like what I saw out there, that referee messed up and it cost me the game, it shouldn't cost them 15 grand. It shouldn't. There should be some sweet medium to say, yo, just because the referees are the authorities, the officials, does not mean that they should be above reproach when the game isn't even being played. It's like the game is over. They're not in charge anymore. They can't. They should not necessarily be above my criticism after the game. So that's just my opinion. Obviously, there's limits to that. Obviously, there's a uniformed understanding about the league. You don't want players bashing refs. You don't want refs bashing coaches. You know what I mean? You want the decorum to remain in general. But just as it pertains to what I've seen over the years, it seems to me that they were willing to protect the officials, whether they were right or wrong, and ready to punish the players for complaining about the officiating, whether they were right or wrong. And to me, that doesn't sit as comfortable as it should, because it just speaks to the same thing I was saying about Luka Doncic when he was putting up the money sign and they'd fine him 35 grand. It looks as if you're trying to say that maybe there's some merit to what he's saying, maybe it's not, but we don't like the fact that he's saying it, rather than to just simply say he's doing something wrong. Because at the end of the day, is Luka doing something wrong, or is he whistleblowing? That's what we have to ask as the public. And I know that Adam Silver and those guys, when they find him 35 grand, know that. They know that we're wondering whether or not he's whistleblowing, or whether or not he's just throwing a fit, or if he's just not sure and he's speculating like the rest of us. We don't know how much a guy like Luka the Don should be privy to as it pertains to how things are going with officiating and stuff like that. So it's like, if he's saying stuff is like this, and then y'all go around after that taking 35 grand from him in response to that, essentially his pay is being taken from him because he said y'all being paid off. So it's like, that seems and looks like a little funny type of conundrum that the NBA finds themselves in, that doesn't, to me, instill a whole lot of confidence that they have this under control, or that this is as it should be at all, really. And so that's what I want to say. I think the NBA should kind of find another way, try to approach this situation, because people are still talking about their referees. People are still going through this kind of process with the NBA, and the players and the refs are just not having a good communication level right now. I think that's what was said recently by one of the players. I was listening to him talk about the refs. It was the communication is not where it needs to be between the players and officials. And so, yeah, that's something I just wanted to consider. It's been a lot of frustration all season long in regards to fans and officials particularly. We just have not had a whole lot of happiness coming out of our fan base when we listen to all these different fan bases from all over the league. And some of the players have made it clear that they're not in love with how games are being officiated these days. So Are we looking at the officials themselves and saying they're being paid off like Luka is? Or are we looking at those who put the officials down there and saying y'all are making it so that these rules allow for the game to look a way that we don't like, I guess is what we can say. So I'm not really sure what I'm looking at. I don't really know. But as far as what Trae Young did, that's just another drop in the bucket in regards to that lack of communication and that disconnect there. You know what I mean? As to where, again, I don't think if Trae Young passes that ball that same way to most officials, I do not think he has the same result there. So that's really what I got to say, man. That's the gist of the thought. Wish everybody well. My name is BDL44. Thank you all for watching.